Of course, the situation is similar for hospital doctors. The Resident Doctors Association is calling for rosters to be switched to bubbles to avoid the risk of an outbreak in one of our hospitals. Resident Doctors Association National Secretary Deborah Powell is with us now. Afternoon, Deborah.
Good afternoon, Heather.
It's a bit of a wake-up call, this, isn't it?
Well, yes. In actual fact, I was quite surprised that we didn't just stand up pod rostering immediately. We did it during 2020. Took us a little bit of time to get that up and established then because it was brand new to the country. But having done it once, I personally assumed we would just swing into action. But this time around, for some reason, we didn't.
Why are we so flat-footed in this one? It's almost like, it feels a little bit like while private enterprise has been ready for a lockdown, the guys in charge have been acting as if it's not going to happen.
But I think there is a bit of a mindset here because the game has changed. And, we did a hell of a lot of work during the first lockdown and people just swung into the same gear. And we need to understand this isn't the same as last time. The greatest threat to our healthcare workers at the moment is community spread. It's not the guys that have COVID that are coming in through our COVID lanes. We know how to deal with them. We know how to look after them without catching the disease. The main problem is community spread, as we saw with the nurse at Auckland City Hospital. She got COVID from the community and didn't know when she went to work. So putting pod rostering in place means that you don't get large quantities of workers having to be stood down and no workers to replace them.
Okay, so just explain to me what pod rostering is and how it works.
Well, it's sort of like the same thing as what we're doing out here in the community. We've got our families, we're in our bubbles, we stay in our bubbles, and we don't mix bubbles. What we do with rostering is we take teams of workers and we put them into we call it a pod, but call it a bubble if you like, and that group stays together. They don't interact with other groups of workers. We go in different shifts, we go in different cycles, and we stay with our team. And that means that if one team goes down because they're infected, another team simply moves in and takes over.
Yeah.
Now, in order to do this, we have to reduce our capacity a little bit because we've got to have someone, one pod at home to move on it in if necessary. And we should be dropping our outpatients and doing all our, stopping all our non-emergency stuff so that we can set pod rostering up.
Which is exactly, as you say, what we did do.
Well, we did it last time,
year,
but we didn't do it this time. And I think the DHBs have been trying to do business as usual in the middle of this to a certain extent, which is a bit weird. We need to stop doing the non-urgent stuff and swing into pod rostering so we can keep our health workers on duty, off duty if they have to be, but replaced if they are stood down so we can keep on treating the people who need to be treated. That's how it works.
Brilliant stuff. Deborah, listen, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Deborah Powell.
New Zealand, the land of milk and honey and the country. Join Jamie Mackay and Rowena Duncan weekdays from 12 as they survey the rural landscape. All the big issues affecting you. Listen and follow on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. News Talk ZB.
It's all about the 80s. The 80s, the best music era ever. Listen and follow now on iHeartRadio.